and welcome to the Footy Corner. I'm Sparks. This is our new Prem Full Time show. We've got two fantastic guests for you. We're going to discuss the roundup of the weekend's football. Obviously, not going to do tonight's game because it hasn't happened yet. So we can do a lot of things. We're not quite that good. Isa, welcome in. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
How are we? How
good.
was your weekend?
Busy weekend, yeah. Happy weekend.
Yeah, we like them like that, yeah?
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic. Mark, how are we doing?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me on tonight.
It's all good. Yeah, Mark's got a few issues with his camera, so we just got sound from him, which is all good. But yeah, how was your weekend, my friend?
It was good. Game week 1, football's back. We're on the brink of winning the Premier League, and I believe this is our year, so exciting times. And day one's over and done with, 3 points in the bag. So happy guy, very happy man.
Did you say we're on the brink of winning it?
I think we'll win it this year, 100%.
I mean, it's early days for that one, but there you go.
No. I'm giving motivation and positive thoughts from positive vibes from day one.
Out into the world.
Yeah, 100%. It's our year.
Yeah. What do you think, Isa? Do you think we've got what it takes to win it this year?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying
anything. Getting ahead of yourself.
I'm not saying anything for the simple fact that I think we need to get for a few more games. And I also think that the players are still fatigued from the Euros. And I think that we're not seeing them at full potential yet. So I don't think it's possible to base it on the one performance we've seen.
Yeah, first game is kind of always about playing into the league, isn't it? And kind of getting your legs back and, getting into the motion of things and getting the 3 points at all costs. So, first box ticked, but at the end of the day, it's a long old journey, isn't it? At the end of the day, there's plenty of twists and turns, as we know, in the Premier League, and who knows where we're going to end up.
I think the mentality is different, though. I noticed it last season, but I definitely noticed it more even just the game on Saturday, that it used to be the attitude of, first couple of games of the season don't matter. They're still warming up. We've got plenty of time to pick up these points. But actually, I get the feeling you get around the Emirates now is very much that, no, every single game matters. Every set of points is going to matter because everybody knows how tight it is going to be and how tight it has been.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's we edge closer to it, but whether the other teams edge away from us is not something we have control over. We just have control over what we're doing, and whether it's enough, who knows until we get over to the end of the line. So at the end of the day, that's kind of all we can do, isn't it?
That's what I said to Mark last night. I said to it, like when we was on the show together, I said, look, Man City could have 1,001 charges against them. But if we hadn't dropped the points we dropped last season, then it would have been ours. There was no doubt about it. So we just got to concentrate on what's going on with us. The inevitability is nothing is going to happen to them. So we need to just make sure that everything's right in our backyard more than what's going on in other people's.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And it's just a case of we treat it as though nothing's going to happen. And if it happens in our favour, it happens in our favour. So at the end of the day, like I say, we have zero control over it. So we treat it that way. And do you actually think they'll get any kind of punishment? Do you think they'll be found guilty of anything?
Fines, which they can pay. I think the Premier League, the problem is at the moment is that if they win it for a 5th year in a row, I think there's going to be a lot of people switching off to the Premier League because it's going to get boring. Because don't forget, like we think of it as supporters that we're the only ones invested. There's a lot of neutral people that just like football, that like to watch the Premier League. And if they're just going to keep seeing the same teams win all the time, I mean, I know people that are like, one of my closest friends is a Leeds supporter, and he was so like really in Arsenal's corner last year to win because he said, I'm just getting bored of seeing the same thing happen all the time. And everyone keeps saying, City bring a lot of money to the Premier League. I think that the Premier League's going to start losing money if they keep on this the way they're going because people are just going to get bored.
I'm not sure that that's they've got some kind of realization that that's what's happening now, because obviously I think they're doing the smaller clubs just to give them scope to actually do something should the necessity, I can't say that word, but arise. But I still don't. I like yourself. I think it'd be very menial if they're actually proven guilty of anything. I don't think they are guilty of anything. But even if they are proved guilty of something, I don't think they'll get really much.
I completely, utterly disagree. Man City have 115 charges, 35 of them are for non-compliance, so they're not handing over emails, documents, all the rest, so they're found guilty of 35 a day charges instantly. There's no lawyer in the world that could get them off with that. This has been proven. On more, I've watched a podcast which we'll share into the group chat so you guys could watch. It shows what happened when UEFA took them to court of arbitration. So so I'll share that over and I'll give you a better understanding. For me, the Premier League is a massive brand. That is unreal. And if it's not seen to be doing the right things, then the brand will diminish, and the multi-millions that go into the Premier League will also drop. So I've heard things like the Saudi owners obviously are running the royal in Saudi as well, and they're in correspondent with the UK government and stuff like that. If Saudi walk away from the Premier League and the Premier League don't hold up what they're doing, the whole brand collapses. The whole league collapses. So for me, Man City will be dealt with 100%. They will be relegated. You cannot fine and take points deduction off Everton for misdemeanors compared to Man City. Nottingham Forest, exact same. So believe me, Man City are a way to be heavily, heavily punished.
I hope you're right. Look, I'm not sitting here going, oh God, doom and gloom. The reason that I was looking at it from totally the opposite angle view, and I was thinking, you know what, the money that they bring, if they was to suddenly, because statistically, I was talking to someone, they were saying that the charges up against them, if they was to deduct them so many points per charge, they would end up minus 140 points, meaning that they would basically get relegated. But is the Premier League going to relegate them? Yes. Knowing how much I'm not saying I don't want them to. They should, because at the end of the day, look, I've said this for a long time. Chelsea set the bar with all of this ridiculous spending that many clubs couldn't keep up with. And it was inevitable there was going to be a club like City that was going to come in, completely trump them, and then do things that were slightly dubious. And the minute you are not showing emails, you're not showing your facts, your stats and all this stuff, you are going to be drawing attention much more to yourselves. It's just that as a fan, as an opposition fan, I sit here and go, two things. Well, do I really want to win the league that way? That's the way.
That's the $64 million question, isn't it? Because we're going to get such, we get crap now, and you can't win it. But it's going to be like they taunt Liverpool with the no crowd thing. It's going to be, you can only do it when City drop points, or next year, if it takes till next year when Pep leaves, you can only do it when Pep and Klopp leaves. And, the goalposts are going to move, aren't they? No matter what, the goalposts are going to move, and it's going to be something to be thrown at us as fans, not necessarily the players, but us as fans that are going to have to deal with that.
Oh, the other one, the other one, a Spurs supporter for me the other day was the new Prime Minister's an Arsenal fan, and he's the one pushing the media, culture and sport MP to put this into Parliament. That's how you lot. That's and I'm like,
Well, Lord Sugar never did that with Spurs, did he?
No, exactly. I'm sorry, but I think with what's going on in the world right now, Keir Starmer's got a little bit more to worry about than trying to Arsenal to win the league.
No, absolutely. See, the one thing I would say, I often see when like a manager gets sacked and someone else has come in, the first thing that I do, and I'm not saying to anyone that's watching the podcast to do it, but I often go on to bookmakers to see what's happening there, because they always seem to have an insight into what's happening. So you get to see the odds shorten, and you know who the favourites are, etc. So to put this into perspective, Arsenal are 2,000 to 1 to be relegated this season. Chelsea Football Club are 20 to 1. Man City Man City are 16 to 1. So that kind of should be where it is. But
do you know, can I just add something? He's not going to forgive me for saying this, but I'll say it anyway. I'll throw him under the bus. My husband thinks that thinks Pep is really overrated, and he thinks that if he didn't have the money he had to play around with and the players he had to play around with, he wouldn't be as great as he is. And actually, he says, send him to manage someone like Brentford and see if he can actually do a good job there.
I would agree with your husband.
I'll tell him that when we get over there.
100%. Good. See if you swapped Arteta and Pep around. I know that we're doing a weekend roundup, so I'll just quickly say this. If you swap Pep and Arteta around, I think Arteta would win the league with Man City. Would Pep win the league with Arsenal? The question's, I don't think he would.
No, I don't think so, because the psychology that Arteta is bringing to Arsenal. I'm, as you guys know, I'm a teacher, and when I was watching that All or Nothing series and the little like activities he was doing with them, all them team building things, I said to my husband, he's treating it like it's a classroom. He's actually treating it like this is a place of learning and development and focus. It's not just football anymore. He's like almost bringing like Wenger's like psychology into the dressing room. And I actually think that that's where he's going right. So I think he could go to any other club and do what he's doing at Arsenal, but he loves Arsenal. Like you can see it with Arteta. He does love that club.
Now, I see as well that City fans seem to think that, I mean, I see a lot at the moment where City fans seem to want De Zerbi. I think this kind of interview was done last year, but there was a couple with Emery, and there was a couple of guys that said Arteta, and he'd definitely go there if he was wanted, and this, that, and the other. I'm not convinced he would, to be honest with you. So I don't think he's going there unless he gets fired.
Did you see Pep though? He has started his mind games.
I'm not
really bothered about winning the league. You're not bothered about winning the league, mate, because you've got a clause in your contract that if they're found guilty of this stuff, you're disappearing. And equally, you're not going to be there at the end of the season anyway. So that's
there's a report that says he's going by December. Have you seen that one?
No.
Yeah, that's.
But then I've also seen that we've got the green light to offer them £51 million for Grealish. So I'm not. I try to stay away from the papers at the moment.
Would you take Grealish?
Yeah, I'd take Grealish. Me and Mark were having this conversation last night. All day, every day, I'd take Grealish.
I would take him. Lefty and also left wing. I would take Grealish in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so would I. I think he does what Saka does on the left.
Yeah. And also he's desperate to get back in the England squad. Yeah. He plays with those boys in the England squad. The psychology, he can probably deliver something for us, a bit of the mindset about Villa, about City. I think he'd be a great buy. My dad doesn't agree with me. We argue about that, but
don't get me wrong.
I love him.
Don't get me wrong. I've criticised him in the past, and I will do again, and I would do if he was in an Arsenal shirt as well, because I think he can. I think he. And like I said, Saka does this as well. He's a bit of a poker player on a football field. So he plays the man. He doesn't play the ball. He plays the man all the time. He's like, I'm going here, I'm going there. Sterling's the same. Sterling's the same kind of profile as that.
Yep.
He plays poker with the actual football players, and the football, as it were, is kind of an ulterior kind of thing, you know. But there we go. Right, okay, we've gone a little bit off topic, so let's go back where we were going to go. But that's good. I like it. Like that, 'cause it makes it a bit more organic. Right, so let's have a look at the obviously there was a Friday game, and it was the Man United v Fulham game. Did you guys watch it?
I did. I don't know if it's the woman in me, the teacher in me, or the football fan in me. I watched it. I wanted to analyse Smith Rowe, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason I
wanted to see. And I was really torn because I wanted to see them lose because I didn't want him to go there and score and it be like, do you know what I mean? But at the same note, what Arsenal fan can support United? I mean, it's a bit hard, but I was saying last night to Mark, I don't think he looked very happy. I know he's quite a stoic person anyway, but he didn't strike me. You know, that when Declan Rice come to us, there was a definite exuberance on his face. He was excited. He was happy to be there. I just felt like Smith Rowe went because he wanted to play, and I respected him for that because he's saying, I want to play. I'm not going for the money. I'm not going to be a captain elsewhere. I'm going because I don't want to sit on the bench. And fair play to him. But I just didn't think he looked very happy. I think if we had said, we will give you guaranteed 50% more games this season if you stay, but you'll be on the same money, I think he would have stayed.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. What do you think of that, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I think Smith Rowe has to go. He's very injury prone, and I think Arsenal Football Club, and it's unfortunate. I would have done a buyback clause, so I don't have any hate to Smith Rowe whatsoever. But for me, it's just where he is in his career. I think Arsenal Football Club's kind of outgrown that. So he had to move. And I just wish him all the best and hope that we do get but if he comes good, then you never know. One day he might come back to Arsenal.
Jack Wilshere. I mean, look how happy he is with what he's doing at the club. So many ex-players have come back and they still love that club. And I think that's a real testament to the community of Arsenal Football Club.
That's the thing, isn't it? Once a Gooner, always a Gooner. They always seem to, Theo, you've got Ramsey, all the even the modern day players seem to want to support the club. So all the very best for him, But yeah, I don't think he looked very happy at all. But then I don't think he was familiar with what he was being asked to do as well. So I think that's probably a bit of that, and he's kind of a bit thrown in the deeper end. Probably had one training session. Maybe 2 training sessions, so it's probably a little bit early days for him to be jumping around completely elated with what's going on around him. So I don't think you can necessarily read that much into it, but yeah, I completely get that. What did you think of the game as a whole?
Flat, boring.
It was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? And my opinion of the game was basically the longer it went on, the more likely Man United were to win it. And so it got to like 70 minutes. I was like, "There's nowhere Fulham are winning this." They'd created nothing really, and I think United had the full chances, But yeah, I think United were always going to win it from that point, if anybody was going to win it. And they have contender for miss of the season already.
Oh my God, that was awful. Yeah, I mean, I'm in a family WhatsApp group, and I put in there, WTF was that? And my brother replied, awful. So we even knew what the other one was talking about. But there is one thing I will say about Man United, and I don't know if I'm going to get shot down in flames with this one. Man United and Man City, the different mentality to their supporters, to Arsenal and Spurs, is that I don't feel like Man United fans, their whole existence is to hate Man City. Like Spurs fans, their whole existence is to hate us. Like Man United supporters that I know, their attitude is, we are terrible. We've got to get through this. We will be back. We just don't know when. They don't focus on the conversation about City the way Spurs fans concentrate on a conversation about Arsenal. I don't know what you guys think, but that's just my personal experience dealing with Man United supporters.
Do you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah, I think pretty much. And I think you summed up beautifully there with them. The game itself, to go back to the game, I felt that there was a point where, very disappointing, but I think it was Iwobi was running at Harry Maguire. He's got a player to his left and to his right, and he terrible ball. Absolutely terrible ball. And if Fulham had if they had been able to capitalise on that, then I feel they would have got something out of it. I thought Man United were there for the taking. They looked very disjointed, completely disjointed, and it was it was a sad watch in all reality. The only time that I actually enjoyed anything was that miss. I honestly, I burst into laughter when I saw it.
Howler, was it? It was terrible.
Yeah, first game. I think first game week 1, we've seen two things, and I know that we will touch on the Arsenal game, but we've probably seen one of the saves of the season, and we've seen one of the misses of the season so far, and it's only game week 1. So it was very, very interesting. Man United will struggle again this season.
Oh, they will. Did you see the video that's been going around Instagram of because it's gone round all sort of the last couple of weeks on how much repairing has been done at Old Trafford? There was a group of supporters that were taking their own battery powered drills and were repairing the seat.
I was like, it's not the seat you need to worry about. The concrete's cracked behind you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I first saw that video, I thought they were chipping it up to take it for mementos, that it was actually broken.
Yeah, he was actually tightening the seat up, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's like
it's more that they want to put a petition in to see if they could take umbrellas into the stadium with them.
The Old Trafford waterfall, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually on Wikipedia. It's actually the largest waterfall in the UK.
Yeah, the highest one, wasn't it? But, yeah. I mean, we did have one at one point, but it wasn't as big as that.
No, it wasn't at all.
Definitely not as big as that one. Okay, then. We'll go on to Saturday's games then. We'll come back to Arsenal because obviously we're going to discuss that a little bit further. But did you watch the Ipswich Liverpool game?
Yes.
I didn't because I was travelling, so I didn't see any of that.
Okay, what do you think of that game, Mark?
I thought Ipswich, as expected, newly promoted. They really went for it. They only had one really good chance, and the header, unfortunately, was straight at Alisson. However, I was really impressed how the defenders threw their body on the line. There was Man United had, especially start the second half, they had maybe. Liverpool. They had 3 or 4 really good chances, and the defenders just threw their bodies right in front of the ball. It was Braveheart defending, and then obviously they got cut open from Salah. Caught them open with a pass. Jota goes on to score. Salah does his thing. 5 minutes later, he gets that. So. Yeah, I think it's going to be a long season for Ipswich. They'll not get away with that all the time. And the first game of the season, you're always going to have energy levels go up. But the more that this happens to you, it'll wear them down. It'll just grind at them and they'll struggle. That was kind of my take on it. But what I would say from a Liverpool point of view, and I did touch on this a little bit last night, Trent Alexander and Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson actually played for my football club before he went down to Stoke City, before Liverpool got him. But they say my football club is my local football club. We signed him for one season and got £3.5 million for him. So I really love Andy, but I think their left back and right back, I really see teams getting at them. If they come up against an Arsenal and Chelsea's, Man City's, I think they're going to be found out. In all honesty, so
not Chelsea, surely.
No, I fancy Chelsea this year. If they get a striker, if they get Osimhen in or etc., and they get their act together, I think they'll get a massive point deduction this year because of what Abramovich done, and then that's even before we go on to what Todd Bowley's doing, because that's got to be a week of what he's doing. But I actually fancy Chelsea to get in the top 4 this year. I think I've seen enough on the back end, the last 6 games of last season, they started to get their act together a bit, and they do have quality players in there. But if they could just find that structure within their football club, I don't know if it's too soon. but we know that, like, say, Lampard struggled with it, Pochettino struggled with it. I've heard that, like, a perfect training drill, training 25 man maximum for training. They've got 40 odd players, 7 goalkeepers. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on at that.
Have you seen the team bus? Have you seen the?
Yeah.
About this last night, I still can't find that bloody meme. There's a meme of it's one of them trains in India with all the people on the top of it, and it says Chelsea Football Club going to their training ground.
Yeah, the team bus. See, the team bus on Twitter is even better than that. It must be like a 10-story bus.
Balls, yeah, it's a triple double decker.
It is basically, but yeah. So I think if they could sort it out, I think they've got more chance. I think they'll have a better season than Man United this year.
Do you not think that they've hindered themselves by changing manager then? If they kind of repaired themselves towards last season.
100%. I think they should have kept Pochettino in my eyes. I think he would have got the balance. He would have got the structure right. I think. Do you know what? I honestly think for Chelsea Football Club, they need to bring in an experienced manager and listen to him. Because I think Todd Bowley and these directors, I don't know who the football director is or their board, I'm not even that interested, but I don't think they know anything at all about football, and they're just solely looking at business. Even at that, I'm struggling to see what's going on there. But I just, Pochettino for me I think he would have brought balanced structure and he would have sorted it. So they just need to get a football man in. I'm giving them credit this year because of the players that they do have. I think they've got some really good talent at that football club. I really do believe that. However, they've just brought in a young coach, so they're doing the opposite to what I'm saying. So if it was me and I had this money, I would want to bring in like an Arsene Wenger to correct me. So Arsene, here's my money, but can you run this football club and like make it right? Because you're experienced. I have no idea how to run a football club, and I think that's what Chelsea need to do.
The way they started was basically the owners basically taking control, and they knew not the first thing about football, did they? They kind of treated like like a hockey league or whatever it is. I'm not even sure that they knew the rules at that point. So
I don't know, because they're good at bending them.
Yeah, but they're good at bending financial rules. They're financial people, so it's that I kind of expect. But at one point, it was like they kind of thought, you're going to get a draft player, you're going to get a player to push you back up. The lower you get, the better player you get. So that's kind of the way it came across. But you can fact check me on this as well. But I think the starting 11 yesterday, was the same as they ended the season with.
Right. Okay.
So it's a bit weird that they got all these transfers in and got the same 11. That seems a bit odd.
Yeah, I think if they bring in a Bergsman, I think, do you know what it is for me? I love Osimhen, and I know that some Arsenal fans don't. I really love this guy, and I would love. If we don't sign, obviously, it doesn't look like we're signing Isak, who would be my first choice.
We're not
Osimhen would be definitely my second choice. And it looks like Chelsea are going to get him. And I just feel, if you even look back to yesterday's, I don't want to jump ahead, but that's why I think
you already have. We can just keep going.
sorry, I do apologise, but if you look at likes of Jackson, who's still raw, and he was offside. When there was no need for him to be offside. Osimhen would not do that type of thing.
Haven't Chelsea got a history of that though? Because Tino Werner used to do that. There were other strikers that kind of been there and not really handled the offside trap very well, and ended up going downhill because of it.
Yeah. One of my favourite people to talk football with is not even of my mates. Is not even an Arsenal fan. It's actually a Chelsea fan, and the reason being is she's so honest that she says I don't get on with other Chelsea fans because she's very honest. And weirdly, everything you've been saying today, that's exactly the same thing she says about them. She's like, they've got no direction from the board. The board just sees us as a business. They don't actually let the manager do control. I think the manager the other day, he was asked about something and he went, that's not my decision to make. It's up to the board. You'd have never heard Arsene Wenger talk like that. You would never hear Arteta talk about that. They were asking Arteta the other day what's happening with the transfer window. And he basically said, there's still lots to come. I've got my eyes on some things. He's not even allowed to say that at Chelsea.
Yeah, well, that's not part of their job anymore. So that's the rarity is Arteta now, isn't it? So they've obviously had to do that because of people mishandling things, but it's just a mess. It really is a mess. But there we go. So, Mark, would you say we went onto a completely different tangent for whatever reason? Don't even know how we ended up there, but there we go. Saves us a bit of time later. So, yeah. But do you think Liverpool deserve to win? Do you think that they look ready to go, or what?
Yeah, no, I think they deserve to win. Yeah, 100% they deserve to win. But what I'm looking at, unless they get a DM coming in, I really think they'll struggle this year.
Yeah, what did you think of Slot's tactics? Did you see much difference from?
No, I didn't at all. I just felt like it was a continuation of what they were doing last season. I didn't see there wasn't like anything at all. I mean, if I could put this into like a different scale, but if you took like that Emery or Arsenal, and then Arteta comes in, and you see this massive like change of tactics and the way it was, there was nothing evidential on that. It was just kind of, I don't know if maybe it's still early days and he's trying to just tweak little bits at a time. But for me, it was the exact same. It's the exact same Liverpool.
I mean, surely Liverpool would be happy with that, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that a good thing in a way? Because the bottom line is, if you're going to come in and change too much, you're going to disrupt the continuity of what was going on. And, at the end of the day, Liverpool didn't have a terrible season. So, and their worry was an unshaky transition between Klopp and the new manager. I think if you could switch that game on and not know that Klopp had left, you saw, I mean, I watched the highlights on Match of the Day today because I didn't manage to watch them before we went live yesterday. And I just thought this is exactly the same team. Is that going to be good in the long run? I don't know. It may not be. It may be. But it just depends what they do at the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, see, for me, just to touch back on that, it's different because if you're going to keep the same kind of tactics and just slightly tweak them, you've got to remember Klopp's one of the best managers, for me anyway, in the world. I would actually put him as one of the best managers in the world. And he can motivate even young players. Look at them winning the Carabao Cup last year. That was against all the odds. And that's what Klopp could do. He's that good. Let's not kid ourselves. So when you're bringing in a different manager and trying to keep the same kind of style, as the season goes on, it's not going to be, there's no way he's going to be able to do that. So
I don't think he's trying. No, what I meant was I don't think he's going to try and keep the Klopp way for the rest of the season. I think he's keeping it this way and the momentum going until he can put his own stamp on it with whoever he chooses to buy. Because otherwise,
integrate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's good, really good points. It's really, really good points. But I didn't see, to answer your question, I never saw much difference. So maybe it is a good thing.
It's a good thing for them to start off with. And obviously, they've got tougher tests to come. They obviously started a little bit ropey and, there was a potential handball that stopped one goal. But, kind of other than that, it's, again, it's first day and it's all about getting the points, isn't it? And if you can do that without conceding a goal, all the better, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the Everton Brighton game. Did you see any of that?
Yes, I watched it.
Say again.
I watched it. Sorry.
No, I didn't really see it, but I think things look quite positive for Brighton. They've made some quite good signings, I think. They've got another striker coming in, Rutter, I think. They've done some really good business. So from what I hear anyway, I refuse to watch Match of the Day anymore. So it's I just get bored of the biased nonsense commentary. Though I saw some snippets and it actually wasn't quite as biased as it normally is. So it was all right. Everton, do you think Everton are going to struggle again?
Yeah.
I don't know. To go back to the actual game, Everton actually scored first, and it was ruled offside. Then they had another chance. Again, it was 0-0, and Dwight McNeil. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as the Garnacho miss, but it was pretty damn close. And he hit the inside of the post. I don't know what he was thinking, and the ball came back to him, and he passed it back along the 6-yard box. And the player, I can't remember the player's name, but I think it was Mark yesterday did mention it. He was standing in the 6-yard box, and he stood stationary as the ball came through. And if he just moved, it would have been a tap in. So Everton did have the chances to actually take the lead, and the first goals are always important in these kind of games. So they kind of let themselves down on that. But after that, once Brighton scored, it was just it was game over.
I think they've got potential for another points deduction as well. So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
I think that's a latch on from last season. So
what is it this time?
It's the same sort of thing, but it's they had to get to the cut-off point.
Yeah, what it is PSR. Like I'm not trying to bore people with it, but PSR works in a 3-year. It works in a 3-year cycle. So from before the end of last season, if you go 3 seasons before, they've been done for that one. Now we move into the next season. The oldest season's now gone, if you know what I mean. So it's just a rolling 3-year. So they committed PSR breaches in a couple of years space. So they're going to get hit again this year, if that makes sense. I've maybe not explained that properly, but
to your point before then, doesn't it, about City? You can't keep hitting Everton and then you don't let anything happen to City.
No, absolutely.
This was my point, because it's like, well, you're trying to stamp your foot down and basically go, right, okay, this has got to be right now. But the likes of Chelsea, although it's a historic thing, you can't not do anything about it, or you just can't do it. It's just not fair. Forest got hit, and I believe Leicester are going to get hit twice as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct as well.
So you can't have the smaller teams suffering and then not do something about the big teams if they're found guilty. Obviously, that's a big if.
Yeah. See, for me, for it on Everton, because I asked these questions last night, but I didn't give them a view. But I think having a manager like Sean Dyche, I think he'll sort them out, and Everton will be okay. He's too good a manager. So even with the points hit,
I mean, they still finished in a reasonable position, didn't they? Even after
I think they would have got. I think Mark or David last night was on the podcast with me, and they said that without the points deduction, they would have finished 12th.
Yeah, but again, momentum comes into that as well. So if you actually hit with that heads drop and whatever, so there's potential you could do even better. So but yeah, another one that's watched this space, I guess.
Yeah, it's 100%.
And Brighton, it's going to be interesting to see how they perform this season as well. There we go. Newcastle, Southampton. Obviously, there was a bit of controversy in this game as well.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night, and I think I turned around and said that I walked out the Emirates thinking that was a really dodgy game until I got home and watched that on Match of the Day.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see how bad the Havertz thing was until I actually got home because, I was on the train and saw a replay of it because I was having lunch. But yeah, I thought that was a bit shocking. But then to see that guy just throw himself on the floor like he was going to get an Oscar for it, I don't think that should be allowed in the game, and I think he should be getting a red card for that as well. And he should get a ban because it's basically bringing the game into disrepute in my eyes.
Same time, you can't put your head against someone else's to hit.
I completely agree with that. But if you're going, well, that's a red card because you put your head in there. You're trying to cheat an opponent. You're trying to cheat the referee, and if you give him one a red, they should both get reds for that for me.
I think also as well, I mean, I do agree with Mark about putting your head in, because if you don't do that, you can't get accused of anything. But the other thing that is something that I was thinking about today when I was thinking about this incident is that when you said about bringing the game into disrepute, you're totally right, because the one thing they're taking incredibly seriously now, and the thing that they're now saying they will only stop the game for, is head injuries. If you're going to get players now feign head injuries because they know
they were doing it last year, weren't they?
They know it's going to stop games. They know it's going to potentially get players sent off. What happens when you get genuine head injuries? I mean, I'm coming from a point of view is when I was a child, I had accident-induced epilepsy because of a massive bang on the head. And so something like this to me is something that should be taken very seriously, but you're going to get a situation where you're going to get people abuse it. And I think if they are abusing it, you know, at the end of the day, you've got how many cameras in there now? You've got VAR. There's no excuse for these decisions to be being left to did they, didn't they? If you think that he was taking the mick with that, it's a straight sending off for dissent. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree.
I think the tunnel was more interesting than the game, if I'm being perfectly honest, at half time. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What happened there? Sorry, I haven't seen that one.
They had a bit of a fight in the tunnel. Yeah.
If you go back to, we touched this last night. See, if you go back to Arsenal against Man United, Vieira and Keane, and with the Gary Neville thing, that was a tea party. I think that's where that was a tea party compared to what happened in the tunnel. Newcastle. I'm being serious. It was, there could have been red cards in that tunnel at half time.
And we were saying last night that one of the ironies was that one of the commentators on one of the channels, so I don't think it was Match of the Day, I think it was something I saw on Sky, they actually said that the CCTVs were put in the tunnels because of what happened with Man United Arsenal.
Right, okay.
And this was worse.
This is 10 times worse. I mean, honestly, once the podcast finishes, go and have a look. It was bad.
So I mean, obviously, that's going to be there's going to be fines going on there then as well. Then I would have thought if that's the case. But yeah, Newcastle managed to get the winner. But how do you see their season going?
I think it depends, because they have a habit of starting off really strong and then just getting tired and then just falling down the table. So I don't know. I really don't know.
For me, I think they'll have a good season. Playing one game a week, as long as they don't have the same kind of injuries that they had last season.
Top four good or?
No, not quite. Maybe fifth, I would say.
Does Howe keep his job if that's the case?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's Europe still, isn't it? So
I feel sorry for Eddie.
Europe, isn't he?
I feel sorry for Eddie, because if you see what's going on at Manchester City and like the other clubs that are cheating, and Newcastle are like the richest club in Britain. They're probably the richest club in the world, if we're being perfectly honest, and they can't spend. They're in danger of losing their top talent because of PSR. So they're trying to do things correct. And so for me, Eddie's a fantastic manager. I have a lot of respect for Eddie and the job that he done. If anything, he's probably made his job harder by getting into the top four in his first season and then dropping off last season. But obviously there's context to why they dropped off because of the injuries. So for me personally, I see them having a good season, but not quite top four. Maybe just missing out.
Can I ask you guys a question? It's just something that's popped in my head. So I would be really interested if we can get a stat on this. Do you think player conduct has declined since wages went up? Because I'm wondering, because these players are getting fined for these misconducts and they're getting fined for these aggressive behaviours and these other things that go on, because they've got so much money, they don't actually care. So they're quite happy to take the fine. But this is just something that's popped in my head. I have no answers to that. I just don't know whether there is some sort of stat that there is a correlation between bad behaviour with the things that you're seeing on the pitch and their wages going up. Don't know. It's just a thought.
An observation I kind of made as well is that that I don't know how long it is since retrospective action used to be a thing. So long ago now since anything was actually dealt with. And anybody got anything like a 3-match ban or whatever for an incident that hadn't been picked up on the field, that they've reviewed it and gone, well, that deserves a ban. They used to do it every week, and they look at stuff and they don't bother anymore. And
they have to.
That's more into it.
Yeah, I think they have to. Especially after game week 1, it does have to go back to that. And if they don't do that,
I don't know why it changed. Why would it change?
I don't know. I don't know. It's always been there. They've always done that. The refs missed something. I don't know. Maybe because VARs came in and they expect VAR to pick up on certain things. But obviously, VAR's not done itself any favours on game week 1. And in my opinion, it's done the opposite. If it was under pressure in game week 1, if it was under pressure before this season started, it's even straight away, it's put itself under more pressure due to some of the things that have happened this weekend and no punishment. So for me, it's just, they have to relook at it again and punish. I expect punishment to come out. And if there isn't punishment coming out, then
well, people are going to do it even more, aren't they?
They are. It's just going to continue. It's going to continue.
They go, well, I can get away with it. It's fine.
I'm not being funny, but if we go back, I heard that they're going to look at Ben White's shithousery. Sorry for swearing, but through trying to take unstrap a goalkeeper's glove, and they're going to be focusing on that to make sure that's not happening. And then you're seeing the events this weekend, and it's like nothing at all.
They've banned it, haven't they?
And you know what? And you know what? I'm going to give Ben White some credit here because Ben White was told not to do it and he stopped. I didn't see a single thing of him do that this weekend. And he's obviously had a conversation. He respects his game, his club, his manager and his supporters because he knows if he gets sent off and he's such a strong defender, we're stuck. Okay.
Yeah, I seen it in a Brentford Palace game, though. I saw it. It was going on.
But I'm saying, like,
I agree. But yeah.
I'm sure
everywhere is all I'm saying.
Ben's a very clever guy. I actually seen it last season. And when he was in the Premier League, he was doing that. But when we went into the Champions League, he did not do it. So when Arsenal got a corner, if you go back to the Bayern Munich game and stuff, he was not doing it because they're a bit stronger and they're a bit stronger refereeing, etc. And they're as well. So he realised that he's not doing it now because they're saying you have to cut it out. But if you think that Ben White trying to unstrap a goalkeeper's glove is the worst thing that's happening in football right now, then you've got serious issues.
No, I completely agree. Well, look, we might as well go into the Arsenal game since we've kind of ebbed into that anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We'll go with the flow. We don't need to talk about the other ones so much anyway. We just literally brush over them. So we talk about what we know about. So yeah, the lineup came out and it's pretty much as we expected, isn't it?
Partey was a bit of a surprise for me. Yeah, I don't know why he was a surprise for me, but I was quite surprised to see him in the lineup. To be fair,
yeah, played all pretty much a couple of games pre-season. So, but completely expected him to be there.
My surprise was Martinelli, and I love Martinelli. I just think that he's lacking a bit of confidence, and I thought Arteta might have. I don't know. It's hard to get a player's confidence back. You either trust him, so you just put him in the side and roll with it. He done that with Havertz last season. But I thought that Trossard was maybe just shading that position. So that was the only surprise for me. I thought that Trossard would have started ahead of Martinelli. And it's not, before anybody shoots me, I love Martinelli. He's a big player, and anyone writing this kid off's very silly.
See, I'm much more confident when I see Martinelli start, because I know that Arteta's going to be putting Trossard on as a super sub.
Yeah.
And therefore, so I'll be like, when we lost to Villa, that he played it the other way round. And I remember saying to my mum, we're going to have trouble here, because actually it didn't work the other way round. They're not interchangeable. They can only go one way. But that is my opinion. But
no, I agree with that. 100%. Yeah. He's an impact. Trossard's a perfect impact sub.
Can I tell you a really funny story quickly? I didn't mention this last night on the stream, but actually, did I? I can't even remember now. I went to Belgium last week, and when don't ask me why, but we kept getting the name of this biscuit factory wrong, and it was called the Trossard Biscuit Factory, the Kevin De Bruyne Biscuit Factory, just because we couldn't get the bloody name right. And then when he came on at the weekend, I was so frustrated that we had we scored the second one by then? Yeah, I think we had done. But I really wanted to us to put it to bed, and I shouted out right in front of everyone else sat with, if you score, I will give you biscuits of your people. And everyone around me started pissing themselves laughing. But I do like Trossard. He's one of, I think he's just such a great player. I kind of wish we could have him on for a bit longer than he does. But I do think the combination of him and Martinelli, and I agree with Mark, I don't think we've seen the best of Martinelli yet. And I get really annoyed when I see people say things about him, because actually I think he's a pretty solid player.
Yeah, I do as well. And I just think there's context to why he had a poor season last season, and it's not all his own fault. But he is lacking in a bit of confidence, and Arteta needs to get that. Arteta, for me, needs to get that back.
Yeah, I do think he regressed last season, didn't he? So it kind of a bit of a drop off, and he started to kind of have a bit of fluidity, but he did drop off. But yeah, the other bit of controversy, I guess you would say, is Zinchenko starting. What were your opinions on that?
Do you know, I thought we had a cracking game, and I thought he really he was everywhere, and he was trying, and he wasn't, when he was going after that ball, he was like a dog with a bone. He was not letting it go. I don't think he can play 90 minutes. I think he's a bit too slow, and he gets...
Do you want him to play 90 minutes?
No. I'd like to see... Weirdly, I was thinking this earlier. I'd like to see him, while we was just talking about Martinelli and Trossard, maybe some of that going on with him and Timber, because that worked really well. That swap, the pace just picked up really, really well. I'd like to see more of that. And actually, that's where I think Arteta went wrong with Smith Rowe, because he could have done that rotation with him. He would have given him those games.
I literally said the same thing to Liam in the bar beforehand. That's what I'd like to see from Zinchenko. Is it either he comes on to start off with and he's taken off around the 60-minute mark when we're shoring things up, or if he's not on the field, he comes on the field if we're chasing a goal.
He can't play a full 90 minutes anyway, because he's also got to be a rap god. Have you seen this? I didn't know he had made a rap song before he played for Arsenal. I saw that today.
He's done a few, I think. Yeah.
Oh my god,
I've not seen it. See, for me, being Scottish, I watch the Scottish national side, and we played Ukraine a lot more than what England has. So you guys probably haven't seen him as much. He plays in midfield, and he's absolutely brilliant in midfield for Ukraine. He actually controls midfield like he's a left eight. So for me, he's injury prone, but let's not beat about the bush. So we need to manage him so he's not getting injured. But I would say I'm okay with him starting a game, as long as it's not against the top six, and as long as it's not in the later stages of the Champions League either. because defensively he does have deficiencies. So
why
do you
don't
not
they?
think? Sorry.
Here's an idea. Why don't we, when Tomiyasu's back, why couldn't you slot him up in the midfield then and play Tomiyasu at the back?
you could do that, but it just depends if, again, if you manage Thomas Partey properly, because he's injury prone, if you're able to manage him properly and you've got Declan Rice there, Zinchenko's never getting into that midfield.
Oh God, no.
So, but I think that's why Calafiori and Timber brought in anyway, so that it's a bit more flexibility on that left centre back and the right centre back, so that they can actually fill in at right back as well, or not quite a right back, but you know what I mean, near enough. Yeah. And it allows that left back and the right back to get forward. And
we saw it with Tomiyasu last season against Liverpool. I think it was Tomiyasu came in and played left back, and he was up against Salah, and he was solid, absolutely solid. So that's just for me. That's where it's no disrespect to Zinchenko whatsoever, but for me, I would just not play him in the high-profile games, but he's okay for all the cup games. Certainly okay. I think he's good enough, and he showed enough in pre-season. Don't get me wrong; there's a very good player in there, and I think he's a really decent guy as well. And he brings a lot of passion to Arsenal Football Club.
He does
a lot of passion to Arsenal Football Club. So, even if you go back to last season when he scored the goal, I actually watched that again today, and he scored, and he just ran back because that only brought us back level, and he ran back to the halfway line, and people tried to celebrate with him, and he basically said to them, "F off, let's go, get the ball, we'll go again," and he was very passionate towards it. So it's good having that kind of character around the team, etc. And I think that he is a player, just that we do know that against the big teams, high-profile games, there is deficiencies there, and so it's just about management, and Arteta has to get that right.
Did you? The thing is, though, I think you've definitely touched on a good point there, because if he plays not against the top six and he plays in the cup games, it's going to build his confidence, build his ability, and if we get injuries where we'll go, oh no, so and so's injured, and we've got Man City, you could slot him in, and I'm not saying he's going to stop any of their guys up front, but at least you'll feel less confident, more confident than you do now. And what you was also saying about his how much he loves the club, I think that resonates so well. I don't know if any of you two saw, but when it was his birthday last year, I follow all the Arsenal players on Instagram, and I'm pretty nosy, to be fair. And his wife had the lyrics to his song put on his birthday cake.
Okay.
And I know what the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's obviously something to him that is so important enough that he's mentioned it to her. It's exuding love of the club that she's put it on his birthday cake.
Yeah.
So
I get called a very passionate Arsenal fan and very passionate person, and was I'm either black or white. It's there's no kind of middle ground with me whatsoever. And I see the exact same thing with Zinchenko. And let's not go into it, I'm just going to touch on it and then we can move. But he would actually give up his football career to go and fight for his country. And I think that says enough about this guy, where it's not about him. He really is. So for me, he's a really decent. He's a decent person, a really decent person, and he's good to have around still. So I'm not picking on him. I just think defensively, if you're up against Bayern Munich, you're up against Man City's Liverpool, they've got players that'll expose his defensive weaknesses.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah. So let's keep them away from that. And
it's not really a debate, is it? It's kind of it's something we're all aware of, and I'm sure he's aware of it himself. So he probably knows where his rotation is.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a bit of a realist as well, I would have thought. But a team player as well. So he if he's real about things, then he gets the aspirations, and maybe that's enough to take us over the line as well. So did anybody actually stand out for you in the game?
Not in a good way, to be honest. Look, you're never going to ever take away the fact that Xhaka is a superb player, and considering him and Declan Rice came back from the Euros, going all the way to the final, they were still tired. You could see that they was not at peak physical fitness, but they played their hearts out. They played really, really well. I think, to be honest, the thing that stood out for me in a positive way was the atmosphere. The atmosphere in the Emirates is. It was very similar to the last game of the season, except the last game of the season, I think we were all sitting on a bit of hope that City would muck up, and we knew they weren't going to, really, and it was all about getting behind the team. But actually yesterday there was genuine hope, and it was exciting to go Saturday, and it was exciting to go back. And I always get off the tube at Arsenal, and I always Angel, and I walked past Highbury and Islington, and there was a band outside, and people were having a genuinely nice summer atmosphere. And when we came down Avenel Road, two poor Wolves fans come this way. They'd obviously gone the wrong way when they were meant to go around the other side, and they were walking in front of us. And we just all started singing at them, and they were just walking along really quiet. There was no trouble. There was, it was a genuine
just banter.
Atmosphere. And they kept turning around and trying to sing at us, and we were singing back, and there was no bad atmosphere. I think the bad atmosphere came from the very controversial decisions that happened inside the ground. And, the Havertz grabbing by the throat. I read in the Sun today, I can't remember the name of the ref now, but he was analysing the game, and he actually said that, in his opinion, the grabbing of Jesus was not a red card, because they do that in European football all the time. It's a bit of banter.
Didn't he say that he was trying to move him out of the way for a free kick or something?
I'm not being funny, but that was a bit of a strange moving out of the way. But then my argument to his point would be, if he had been sent off with the incident with Havertz, he wouldn't have been on the pitch to do that, friendly or not.
What if Jesus has already been booked and he gets sent off for reacting to that? Yeah. Where's the justice in that?
And he's got every right to react. There's no football rule that says that part of your body is fair play to be played with when you're in play.
Absolutely not. It's very strange behaviour, and I think it should be looked at, really. If it was, dare I say, if it was the female side of things, then
you can say that.
Difficult to.
You can say that, and I did a little video on my channel last night, and one of the things I said that I thought was disgusting was that I brought up two articles, one from the Mirror, I think it was, and I brought up one from Sport Bible, and I analysed the language of them, and I said, this one, which calls it a grope of the bum, and it's all a bit jovial and all a bit silly, was written by a woman. And I thought that the language, quite a detriment of someone having someone's hands put on them, that is a no-go area from like you say, from a woman. Now, if that was done to a woman, that player would never play again, right? And I'm not saying
I'm not being sexist when I say that.
I agree with you.
Pointing out.
I hope I didn't come across a disagreement.
No, not at all. 100% agree. I was covering my backside rather than.
Oh, pardon the pun. Yeah. No, but I looked at these two articles, and I said the Sport Bible one, the language was totally on point and totally right. It referred to it as a backside. It said it was wrong. It said, and I'm looking at these two articles. I'm thinking, this one is written by a guy. It's for, without sounding sexist myself, male predominated readership, probably. Yeah. Okay. It is being incredibly respectful. It is just using the black and white language. The Mirror article was ridiculous. The way it was saying groping and bum, and it was all really undermining what this was. Jesus had every right to react the way he did. There was no reason where that person's hand should be there. If someone had done that to me in the Emirates, the Arsenal would have banned them for life. So why is it any different what goes on the pitch?
On the pitch.
Wants to see.
You're not allowed to walk on the pitch. So once you're on the pitch, you're allowed to do that. That's perfectly fine, is it? Don't think
for me, to go back to the positives, David Raya pulled off some unbelievable saves.
Yeah, three proper good saves. Yeah,
I thought he was outstanding. You're really seeing his quality.
I agree.
The negative of dropping Ramsdale at the start of last season, bring Ray in. That is gone now. Don't have two nervous goalkeepers, which is fantastic. So that was a major positive. Another major positive for me was arguably on his day, one of our best players is Thomas Partey. And although he's not, it's game week 1, so let's not
a little bit rusty,
he was a little bit rusty, but I thought he was fantastic. I thought he had a very good game. Saka, obviously tired from the Euros, goal and assist on game week 1, even though he's tired, it shows the class that's there. And Havertz, a goal and assist as well, who for me was, he's just such a hard player to play against. So they're the positives.
Probably one of our best players, wasn't he, Havertz?
Yeah. I would probably give it to Rhea overall because of these saves were that, especially that header that he was going the opposite direction. And
he was going the wrong way as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he done that. So they were major pluses for me. Yeah. I don't want to be too controversial. We touched on this last night, and I was controversial and asked the question. I didn't have to answer it, thankfully, but I'll not go into too much about it. But see, for me, if I'm on a street outside the Emirates, if I'm off the football pitch at the Emirates, or I'm on the pitch at the Emirates, I do not see the difference between assault and sexual assault. And I am putting that down to sexual assault. This gentleman could be gay. He could be bisexual. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You cannot do it. If a man done that to a woman, he'd be sacked. So for me, personally, if you're going to grab someone by the throat, you deserve to be arrested, regardless if it's on a playing field or not. I do not care. If you're going to grope someone in a sexual manner, and let's not beat about around the bush, it wasn't a small tap in the bum. It's a way that a man would possibly react to his wife in private, the way that he touched him. And for me, it was.
The thing for me is that people, you find it tough for women to talk about certain things, and equally so men to talk about certain things, right? And that must be so uncomfortable to have that. You've got a crowd of 60,000 people, you're completely on show there, completely vulnerable, and I don't care how much he's getting paid. Nobody deserves that.
And can I just add as well, because I think this is important to note, I would react the same way if one of our players did that to another team. I would say they should deserve to get set off. This is not because it's something against an Arsenal player.
No.
It goes beyond the level of football for me. And you have to look at it in a realistic way. And just to touch back on what Mark was saying, there is still a lot of stigma attached to men's mental health, to assault on men. Football is still considered, no matter how many amazing barriers have been broken down with the Lionesses, Arsenal women's, all these things, there are still barriers where men have to be seen as a certain way, right? And I bet you any money that Jesus, from some part of the touchlines at some game this season, there is going to be some derogatory chant made about him because of what happened to him at that game.
Exactly.
Because that's the mentality of some football fans. And if he hadn't have reacted like that, there would have equally been some nasty comments made about his apparent sexuality by some homophobic people. And know that because we've heard what they say to Xhaka, we've heard what they say to other players. They're not going to leave something like that alone. And he's got to mentally go through that as well as trying to keep his head in the game. Yeah. It's disgusting.
You made a point last night, and it was so right, and the mental health, and I think that we really do need to touch on that. There's certain people out there, I could mention one name, God bless his soul, honestly, who was he was a good player, he was a fantastic manager. Nobody knew anything was wrong with him, and he committed suicide, and it's Gary Speed.
So
we do not know what goes on in these players' heads. And as you touched on last night, and you're 100% right, When you've got 60,000 people in a football stadium, you've got national television that has got millions upon millions of people watching it, and then you've got media blowing these pictures up all the way across. How do we know what Jesus' mental health's like? How do we know?
And you know what? From somebody who, from the age of 6, my dad took me to Arsenal, or I've been watching football from a very young age, right? I was very conscious when I started going regularly that I was going into the people sitting around me, their domain, right? Now, I know some women are not going to agree with what I'm saying, but this is me. I'm talking from my personal experience. I was very conscious that the men that were sitting there, this was their Saturday or their evening night where they were going to go and be themselves, and this was their thing, right? I knew I wasn't going to get offended by swearing. I wasn't going to get, because this is the nature of the beast that you are involved in, right?
Yeah.
And do you know what? Been sitting with near enough the same people for 15 years, and I can honestly say that they treat me like one of the lads. I was saying on Mark's stream last night, I broke my ankle last year. I couldn't get to the Emirates till November. When I got there, they were all going, "What the bloody hell's happened to you?" Because I was on crutches. Do you know they offered to go down and get me drinks? They offered if I needed anything. Was because I've got metal in my ankle. Was I getting cold? One of them offered me his blanket because he had an Arsenal blanket with him. And this is the people that we sit around. And I just think that there's a really horrible stigma attached to football that isn't fair. And then you see things like that happen on the pitch with men, and it's just meant to be brushed off because it's a men's thing. What about the flip side? What about the reverse? What about what men have to feel from sitting next to women where they don't want to offend them to themselves being made sexual objects because it's banter? And sorry, I've gone on a rant there. I didn't mean.
No, you're completely right. I mean, it's completely, and people will say, well, you stand in a stadium swearing, and you know you don't care about women that way, and that's completely different. It's a completely different story altogether.
Absolutely.
And I will say that there's some women in there that give us men for a complete run for our money with them.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to cover that off before.
I was on a podcast for an hour and 45 minutes last night. Now I got to run for my money. So
right.
No, you know balls, 100%. So no, you're making valid points.
Yeah, completely right. And it was me that brought it up anyway, so I opened it up. So there you go. Right, okay. So in terms of the actual end of the game, there was a few kind of the second half, I guess, for the 25 minutes. Wolves had their flurry and had plenty of chances really to put their stamp on the game and get back in. But as you rightly said, that Raya had a couple of world-class saves actually to keep us in it. So he did nothing for his stature. I don't know about you, but it was nice for me that that Saka on 80 minutes was taken off, and you didn't have to do the whole game. Rice had a bit of cramp. Hopefully that's all it was. And Zinchenko was replaced by Timber. What do we make of Timber's cameo? Can we call it a cameo? I don't know if he really, kind of impacted the game as such, but what did you make of his kind of standing on
the pace quickened. I think that's definitely the back looks slightly sharper because are we gonna talk about the Chelsea Man City game? Because I'll hold my comment off till then. Are we not gonna?
We can do it we'll run through the rest of the fixtures just very briefly, because obviously we don't want to bore the audience.
I just felt that again, back to narratives, our goals were scored near enough roughly the same time as the City goals. So that sounds like there's, I don't know what the Foxes are up to outside, but they're killing each other, I think.
Sounds like somebody's boiling a whistling kettle, and
yeah, I might have to shut the window in a minute. In fact, now the dog's sat outside. Let's carry on. I'm going to shut the window. Hang on.
Oh, Mark. What were you saying, Mark? What do you think, Mark?
Got it.
Sorry, missed that. I got taken away by the Foxes.
It's gone.
God, she's back now. Anyway, it's fine.
I'm back. All I was going to say is like when we were talking about narratives and stuff, is that when I looked at the goals that were scored in the City-Chelsea game, and then I looked at the goals that were scored in our game, they were near enough roughly about the same time. Why is it when it's City, they're storming, Haaland's a beast, all this stuff. Yet for us, it was we struggled. It wasn't an easy 3 points. I didn't think the City looked like champions yesterday. That's one thing for sure.
They never left second gear, though, did they? To be fair, they didn't have to really. I saw a lot of. I've seen a couple of podcasts today, and Chelsea fans basically going, "Oh, that they thought they were unlucky, penalty decisions with that handball with Kovacic wasn't handball. Wouldn't it be a handball last season? And it's definitely not handball this season. So that's not a penalty for me. And I think that they. I think if City looked like the first game of the season that we had last season. They look like very stubborn, very astute, just robotic, almost robotic.
Do you know what? It was almost a case of just getting over the line for them.
Going through the motions, weren't they? Just be like,
yeah.
We just need to do this. That's all we need to do. We don't need to blast them out of the water. We just need to keep going, get a goal, get a second goal, and then we call it. Because I don't know if you heard Gary Neville's comments, but Gary Neville made a comment in the actual commentary for that game. Basically said, you shouldn't be pressing them because that's what they want. They want you to press them to go around them. Well, if you don't press them, how the hell are you going to get the ball back?
I can't
You're
stand
losing the game.
To be honest, I can't stand listening to him. I remember we were saying this last night. I remember being a kid, and my dad used to put was it Capital Gold on when they had the football on. He used to put that commentary on and turn Andy Gray down because it was the same thing. And that's what I started to feel with Gary Neville, to be fair.
Yeah, it's kind of getting a bit monotonous now, isn't it? Just a bit like, yeah.
And let's be fair, Haaland's goal, if you watch that back, that was as much his brilliance as it was Chelsea's poor defence.
Cucurella.
Doing.
How justified was that, by the way?
What's that?
Did you see Cucurella's song at the end of the World Cup?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's funny.
Okay.
Play the two back to back. So play the Cucurella song and then the replay of the Haaland goal. And it's hilarious. It is. He made this song and it's like Cucurella, big Haaland, Cucurella's coming to get you sort of thing. And then,
You know something? See, that player has given me the best images ever of Chelsea Football Club, and I'll never get it out of my head. And it's going back to us smashing them 5-0 last season. Yeah. Ben White scores, and he jumps up and down and takes a tantrum like a Ben White because he scored. And this was just shortly after Ben White was doing his shithousery around the goalkeeper and stuff, and he almost picked him up and threw him in the goal.
So he does the same thing. I don't know what he's complaining about.
It was brilliant. But see, that image will never go out. It's like something. See, if I said to my 6-year-old son, "I'm taking your iPad off you," he would jump up and down, stamp his feet
he literally did do a paddy, didn't he?
And he did the exact same thing.
Do you guys watch the 4-4 tunes? Do you see that?
No,
it's on YouTube. So I think it's a guy every week. He does a roundup of the week's games, but he does it as cartoons in a comical way. And it is quite funny. I'll send a link of the different games, but they are quite amusing.
Nice.
But I mean, ever since I saw that meme of Haaland as the song Barbie Girl, and then he turns around and have you seen that one? Where these two guys go, "Hi, Barbie," and then he turns around and goes, "Hi, Ken," and it's just Ever since I'm like, no, I can't. I just can't.
Don't need that in my life. But anyway, I don't know where we were with the other games. Forest Bournemouth. Did you see that game? Did you see anything of that?
I didn't. The only thing that I did see was the result, and you'll have to either suspend me for 2 weeks so I don't get to come back on your podcast. But fucking Chris Wood actually scored when he couldn't do it against City last season. So I did see that. Honestly, I'll never forgive him for the misses against City last season. But I did notice that he scored.
He wasn't the only one, though.
He had about 3 or 4 clear-cut chances against City.
Yeah.
It was pathetic. And he actually, if you looked at his tweets, I don't know if you looked at his tweets at all, but he actually tweeted, "Come on, City." Previous, he is actually a City fan, and then he done that against them. But just like, it's not Chris Wood. Chris Wood could score goals. He done it against Newcastle when he went back to St James's Park. He had the game of his life and scored a hat-trick. Then the next time that he plays City at home, he can't score from 3 yards out. So, yeah, I seen that. I didn't watch it at all. I was preparing for, obviously, I watched the Arsenal game and I was doing another thing. And I'm host spaces as well. I'm actually hosting the space right now, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got 2 co-hosts, running the space for me as it goes. I told them I'm coming on a podcast, so that is currently running. But so I was doing that as well, so I didn't get a chance to actually watch that game. But what I heard, it was just it was boring.
Isn't our next 4 or 5 games on the TV? I'm sure they are.
At least 3. So we've got Villa away, Brighton at home, City away, Tottenham away first, isn't it? And then City away. I think it's around. So they're all on TV, yeah.
I get every Arsenal game, so I'm okay, regardless if it's home.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. While we've been online as well, João Felix has gone back to Chelsea.
Yeah, and Gallagher's got the green light. And as I said last night on my podcast, Nottingham Forest are in for Eddie Nketiah, and guess what's happened today?
What?
The bomb's been dropped. Forest are put a bid in.
For who?
Eddie.
Oh, I thought you meant us to put a bid in for someone else.
No.
They have bid 25 million, I believe, and we've refused it.
Refused, but it looks like that it's going to get pushed up towards 30.
Do you know what? Considering him and Emil Smith Rowe didn't hardly play any games and they're offering this sort of money, it's not bad, but that's also worrying me because I'm sitting here thinking, what potential can they see of slotting them in and making them superstars that we couldn't?
Eddie Nketiah does not suit, and I'm not picking on Eddie. I like Eddie, and he's came through Hale End. I think he's a role model at our football club, if I'm being perfectly honest. No one at all could ever touch Eddie's attitude. If you look at All or Nothing, I think it was Tavares or was unhappy. Yeah, unhappy that he's not getting in, and Eddie's like, get a grip of yourself. Get a grip of yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Eddie does not press. Eddie does not link up the play in that way. He's almost Ian Wright kind of style of player rather than...
He's an on-the-shoulder player, basically.
Yeah, he is. And Arsenal do not play football in that manner.
Well, so they can't play like that because...
No, exactly. So
I think many roadblocks that we play against, it's not suited.
No, exactly. So to go into Nottingham Forest, Marseille, Crystal Palace, West Ham's...
Anywhere from 8th downwards, I think you'd be all right because they don't...
You'd be 100%. And if you look at
Man United, even Man United, because
they counter-attack. Yeah. If you go back to last season when Jesus, not last season, the season before, Jesus went out and we had to bring Eddie in. It took him 1 or 2 games, and then he scored in like 5 games on the bounce.
Yeah,
he's not a bad player. He is not. And when we came up against Man United, he almost owns Man United. Look at the goals that he scored against them. Important goals. Eddie is a player, and I think the only thing that I've heard is the £100,000 a week gets mentioned. Eddie's not on £100,000 a week. Eddie's on 75 grand a week. The other 25,000 is actually his signing on fee for when he signed a new contract. It was all broken down to represent £100,000 a week over the length of his contract.
Right.
So
I think the major thing between him, Emil, and Saka is that the big difference for me is the only one of those three that really knows how to read the game, which is, I think, the reason why Arteta has stuck with him, the fans have stuck with him, and he's been the player that he is Xhaka. Because what I love to do is I love to watch these players when they're not on the ball, and I love to watch the psychology of what they're doing. He knows where to be every time. You can see he's watching everything that's going on.
He's a very educated player. That's the difference.
It changes every game as well, you know.
It's
not the same every game, and it's not the same at every opponent either.
I could criticise Saka. Honestly, I could criticise, and I do at times.
But you know, at the end of nobody's going to be right over 90 minutes the whole game.
I watch Saka in certain games, and I think he's too predictable. Where he's always come, because he's left-footed and he's playing on the right, he always comes inside. And I'm like, Saka, you could do this guy for pace, get to the byline, cross him with your right foot, because he's two-footed. Let's not kid ourselves. Saka is two-footed, and I'd like to see more of that within him. But the thing about Saka is he is a model professional. His parents have brought him up so freaking damn well that you could say anything to Saka, and it's a sponge. He will
just water off his back, isn't it? Really?
He will take it in, and it's just no bother at all. Being a teacher, I'm pretty sure that you would like your students to be able to do the same.
Listen, when there's so many things I like about him, and it's not, like you say, it's not just his on the way he acts on the ball. But the bottom line is there are
it's not mine. Mine's just hidden in the kitchen.
That's definitely, that was my mum and dad have got a foster daughter, and she's gone away for the week, and she likes to just call me before she goes to bed. So that was what that was. But yeah, as I was about to say, he's a role model for so many kids, for so many things. His parents wouldn't let him sign with Arsenal unless he got straight A's in his A-levels, so he had a backup, and he got straight A's in his A-levels. And for me, that shows that that they're thinking about his future. I mean, I'm sure a lot of football fans are not religious. I'm not incredibly religious. He is religious, and I like the fact that he attributes his religion and his ethos and his sort of mentality to keeping grounded, reading his Bible, doing these things. And like I said, I don't think it's because of his religion. I think it's giving him a sense of clarity and purpose and zen, if you want. And I think that that's a really positive thing for such a young person, where, let's face it, this money that they get, this lifestyle they're exposed to, it could corrupt them. We've seen it happen to how many incredibly amazing players have been corrupted. I mean, he let a rumor go for a good year that he was dating this girl that he wasn't even dating. So it took pressure off the real girl he was dating, who I think's a member of his church or something like that. You know, so I could have that wrong, but I'm sure that she's not famous anyway. Yeah. And I think that there's so much to be said about that. It's not just that on the pitch. We've got a terrible problem with our youth in this country at the moment, with knife crime and all these things going on. And to have someone like that you can aspire to is so powerful.
When you watched
little him as well, it's just a bit. You know, such a nice guy, and all this animosity he gets is just it's just atrocious. It really is.
17 when he missed that penalty, and you got people saying online, you got young men going off and fighting wars the same age as him. I'm thinking, yeah, that's great. Maybe you have, but you're not asking him to fight a war. You're asking him to step up and shoot a ball, and he's obviously not built the way that he could. He didn't take the pressure, but I tell you what, he didn't shy away from it though, did he? And that's one thing I love about the current Arsenal team is, in the past, how often have we seen it? They'll go for a ball, they'll go for something, and they'll just go, oh, I didn't get it this time. This team fight. Like, I love the fight in them. And it was Ian Wright. Like, I was trying to think who said it when we was on the show last night, but Ian Wright said, I don't care what happens as long as they don't stop fighting.
Yeah.
And that's all we want as fans.
Yeah, so all our ethos is basically, you know, you show it for the shirt, and we'll back you to the hills.
Do you know something I've seen in Saka that I'm liking? I'm really liking. See, for me, I think that he's on the brink of being world class. He's already, if you look at his stats, he's already ahead of Ronaldo. I think did you tweet that out today? Or did you mention it last night? That there was I think at the same age, Saka's ahead of goals and assists rather than
from Salah.
Well,
no, Ronaldo.
I
Ronaldo,
was talking about it yesterday. I saw it on. What did I see it on? That by the age of 23, Ronaldo had 77 assists, whereas Xhaka has got 84.
Yeah, he's ahead. He's actually ahead of Ronaldo. But see, the one thing that I actually like about Saka, as well as being humble, etc., and I could mention like the comparison of being on really good money and going doing Aubameyang, where you've got all these flash cars and doing everything else, which for me is the wrong attitude. Saka's very humble. He does have a nice car, but it's nothing over the top. But one thing I like, and I'm starting to see come into Saka on the field, there's a bit of a bastard turning in there. And I think that's going to take him into being world class. And I've started seeing it last season, and I've seen it yesterday as well. And now I'll take you back to Tottenham away. All the Tottenham fans are giving him banter in the corner.
You let your country down, yeah. I saw
you let your country down.
Yeah.
Puts the corner in, we score. He turns around and he puts his hand to his ear and just prepped like, sorry, you were saying? You were saying, and every one of them just shut up. And I like that on him. It's just that little bit of spice. It doesn't mean to say that he's been bad or he's doing anything wrong, but he's just got that bit of grit coming into his game. And I think that'll take him to world class status.
And the other thing as well, the reason I think he's having to do that is because too many players are going for his legs. We see it constantly. They are going for his legs. And do you know what? I think he's getting to the point where he's like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And I think that's why he's having that, because you know, there are so many people that are they've tried to take him out of the game, and we've seen it, and it's appalling, because that's not just you taking them out in 90 minutes, you're destroying someone's career, and that's disgusting.
Well, I've noticed as well, actually, that he's getting more yellow cards, and I think that's more to it. So he's basically laying a bit on, and just basically giving a bit back.
Yeah, but I want to see that, Anna. I don't want him to be Mr. Nice Guy.
So she's like, keep off me because I can kick you and all.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to kick me, I'll give you it back. But let's do it. And I want to see that from Saka. Yeah. I want that. I want more of that. Yeah, because once he gets that...
He was heating up a bit in that last 15 minutes. Do you reckon that could have been another reason he got subbed?
I just think I think he was going to get subbed at that point anyway, because it was like. Do
you know what's scary for me? I think he got subbed because I actually think that if you have a look at these guys, including international duty, these guys have got 60 games ahead of them this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still tired.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, they're tired and they've got 60 games ahead of them.
Do you remember the Invincible season though? When they were, was it the Invincible season? They were all taking the mick out of Vieira because he actually came out and admitted he was exhausted because he played every game, and they were going, "You're a footballing professional. You're on X amount of money a week. Pull yourself together." But they are human beings.
That is why it'll never happen again. That's why
I find that crazy. I remember that when I played, I didn't play at a high level, but I did play football, and I remember going in. We done pre-season, and I went in and played a game, and I gave them all in that game. And see, after it, I felt great during the game. See, after it, I was in agony. I could barely walk. See, 3 days later, I got picked into the first team again. I had cramp going into the freaking pitch. And obviously, ice baths and stuff like that were not a thing, but at that given point. So to see these players turn that around at that level and constantly be training day in, day out and doing this, and also getting kicked to hell. Because let's face it, like these guys do, especially Saka, the only way they stop him is kicking him. It's the only way to stop him. For me, it's just, he has to keep it going. He just has to keep it going, and Arteta has to manage him as well. He has to manage his minutes.
I think he knows that as well. So obviously, it's. Can
we give a shout out to one player that we haven't mentioned that I think is very important to mention, and that's our captain, because I think that sometimes people go, oh, he's having a really quiet game. But I think sometimes from a captain's perspective, it is important to have a quiet game. You're managing the rest of your team. And I think that Ødegaard, he manages that team. And I think he's an incredible. He's got a for me, he's got a vibe of a mixture of Tony Adams and Dennis Bergkamp. And I think that because he's he's so consistent. I think because he is such a steady force, people have a habit of forgetting him. But when he's not there, and I just think he's an incredible force, and we haven't mentioned him tonight, so I just wanted to mention him.
Yeah, fair play. Right, we're going to get through these because we've been on for an hour and a half, and probably people are sick of the sight of us by now. So there you go. Forest Bournemouth. Just get well soon to Danilo because he had a leg break as well. It was quite nasty. Not a great sight at all, and quite thankfully they didn't show replays of it.
No.
I'm sure those things are online if you want to see it, but
no, thank you.
Yeah. No.
Not for me, to be honest. The game itself wasn't the most enthralling, and I think they're both going to struggle, to be honest. Forest and Bournemouth, but it ended up almost even. And anything to say about that one?
No, I don't even think they showed it much on Match of the Day, mostly because of what had gone on with the break, but also it wasn't the most eventful game. My heart goes out to anyone that's done that. I mean, like I said, I broke my ankle last year. It was a bad break. I had to have surgery and all sorts of stuff with it. So, didn't look anything as bad as that when I did it. That was a terrible collision, and I just want to wish him well, and let's hope that it hasn't ended his career and he's back playing.
Yep. I didn't see it. I've only ever really watched one, and it was horrific, and it was Henrik Larsson. When he done his and he came back. Henrik Larsson's was, don't Google it because it is horrendous. But
Sanya's wasn't great.
Yeah, Henrik Larsson's looked like that. John Barnes was manager at the time when Henrik Larsson done it, and it looked like his shin guard had snapped and had came forward, and it wasn't at all. So that's as graphic as I'm going to get.
That's graphic enough for me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Moving on. West Ham Villa. Did anybody see that one?
Yes,
only highlights.
I watched it. West Ham won the transfer window. However, the defendant for the first goal, Aston Villa's first goal, Onana scored it, was a carbon copy of, I said this last night, of Gabriel against West Ham, where Declan Rice crossed the ball, went 3 yards out, headers it, goal. So West Ham have learned absolutely nothing at all. I know they've changed manager, but there was just, for me, it was shocking defending, absolutely shocking defending. Villa have not showed me anything at all that I'm actually worried about going into next week.
Oh, we spoke about this last night. I'm not feeling the same way at the moment. I want to get through them because I feel like they're at the moment after last season they feel like a bit of a bogey team. So I just want to get them out the way.
First game at home as well. It's going to be,
I don't care. I think I watched
atmosphere that will.
Yeah, I watched today the 4-2 game from not last season, the season before. Jorginho hitting the crossbar, coming back, hitting Martinez in the back of the head, and then going in the net. So I'm confident. I'm buzzing for next week.
Nice.
I'm not. Oh, I'm so annoyed. I'm not watching it live. I'm really annoyed. I'm going to have my Sky Go. My mum booked tickets to go to some Friends Fest. You know the program Friends. They've got a hot set in London, and like it's on. We're actually there when the bloody football's on, and I'm shocked she's done that. I'm shocked she done that because she's the person I'm blooming well go to the Emirates with. So I'm like, how did you book this when this was? She's like, I don't know. She went, all I was caring about was not booking it on a home game. But I think when she booked it, we wasn't even announced we were even going to be on the TV. So I'll be all right.
I'm halfway through Matthew Perry's book at the moment.
Yeah, we can go on that. We could.
We're
going sidetracking with whatever.
He's never going to have me back on here again because I just keep going on.
No, you will. I absolutely will. But yeah, I just don't want to outstay our welcome with the audience. That's all.
Yes.
So yeah, that West Ham Villa. I didn't see much from West Ham, to be honest. I thought Villa were the better side. But nothing really outstanding. They didn't really get out of any kind of gears either. So, from that, I don't really get scared. But it'd be a different atmosphere when they're at home, especially the first game of the season. So, but if we can get that one out of the way and use it as a springboard, get 3 points out of that, then happy days as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, we talked about the Chelsea City game, Brentford Palace. Did you watch that?
I watched both the Sunday games. Yeah, I got that score completely around the wrong way. I thought it was going to be 2-1 Palace.
Yeah, I thought Palace were doing it as well, to be honest.
Brentford are a funny one, though. I mean, they have turned it around a couple of times when they've been like that. But if I remember rightly, didn't Palace have a goal disallowed because there was some dodgy whistle?
The free kick. There was,
it was a 50-50 tackle, and he scored the free kick. He didn't really block the shot at all, so I don't really understand it.
The referee blew the whistle too early.
Yeah, he should have just let it go and let VAR look at it, but he got a bit eager. Apparently, he apologized to him afterwards.
That makes it okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah. All good. Appreciate it. Thanks very much, bro. No worries, no hard feelings.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a point, right? So
that was nil at that point as well, wasn't it?
And the thing is, as well, in the old days, you would have gone, okay, it was early in the season. It's probably not going to make a difference. The way that these are so tight now, that could be the difference between a European place or a relegation place.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that Palace are going to get Europe? I mean,
No. I'm saying hypothetically with any team.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but I just don't see them in that point. I see them like in an upper mid-table, if you know what I mean. So probably
they're just kind of in that void between Europe and relegation, where it's just like an almost nothing. I think nothing season.
That midfield is really hard to predict this year. I think a lot of clubs have spent money, and a lot of people, if they can keep the hold of the rest of their players, they'll do really well. I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Brentford obviously going to lose Tony. I don't know where he's going. There's talk of him going to Saudi, but who knows? I've heard whispers that it's coming to us. I just can't see us doing that.
I've heard Chelsea have Osman deal falls through.
I don't think. Look, I'm not going to speculate about someone's private life because I don't think that's fair. But the bottom line is there has been some things that went on with him with gambling last year, and Arteta has got the dressing room psychologically where he wants them. He's got rid of players like Aubameyang who can upset the status quo. He didn't want Mudryk for the same reason. He's got a lot of young, impressionable players that are still finding their feet. I don't think he's going to want someone like that coming in that could potentially disrupt things like that. But that's not to. I'd hope that didn't offend anyone because at the end of the day, he may have sorted the gambling thing and that. But as a manager, would you want to take that risk? You could probably think there's players of his quality that are not going to give me hassle long term.
Do you not think that because at some point we need to sign a marquee kind of player, or that's kind of my opinion anyway. And do you not think that comes with that kind of baggage anyway?
Yeah, it can do because of the lifestyle that they lead and the money that they're on.
I mean, Henry was probably one of the most, I don't know, arrogant on the pitch. He's not obviously not like that off the pitch, but on the pitch he's quite arrogant, quite bullshit, and you kind of need that. But to do what he did,
but that's the way round you need it.
Yeah,
that's the way round, and I think that's the problem. Is that I totally agree with you. We need someone that's got the ennui on the pitch. We just don't need someone that's got the
takes it off the pitch.
Yeah.
That's the crux of the matter, and that's what's difficult to find, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Right. I think that covers everything. I think we've had a really good show. If you're in here, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. The channel is under my name here at the Footy Corner. It will be linked in the video as well. And thank you very much for my guests, Isa. Thank you very much for coming on.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Anytime. Mark, thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me, bro. I've really enjoyed it. I always love speaking Arsenal, and it's great. Very positive to speak to positive Arsenal fans, so I appreciate it, mate.
Well, we try our best. That's going to wrap it up for us. We'll put the video out, and obviously make sure you're liking, subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Have a great time.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.